October 2024 is a very eventful month full of retrogrades, and it's going to mark the ending of our eclipse cycle. So you need to get ready and buckle up because this month is going to be as eventful as September or maybe even the previous months, because 2024 by default is eventful. And I'm here to share with you guys the astrology of October so that it can help you and guide you if you have any plans for October based on the movements of the stars. Anyway, if you're new here, hi, I'm Harley. I'm a Filipina astrologer and tarot reader. And in this channel, we talk about everything tarot, astrology, and spirituality. So if that's something that you're interested in, maybe you can consider subscribing in my channel and also like this video and maybe even leave a comment so that it can help my channel. But if you guys have any suggestions as well on what type of content you want to see here in my YouTube channel, feel free to message and also even just comment in this video. With that out of the way, let's talk about the astrology of October 2024. So this is something that I want to continue doing. We're in at the start of the month. I would want to discuss with you guys the astrology of the month ahead so that it can help you and guide you on certain things based on what's happening above. So the first transit that I want to talk about is the upcoming solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. I'm not sure kung nakalabas na ba yung video ko at the time that the eclipse is happening, but in case not yet, the eclipse is happening around October 2 to October 3 Philippine time. So yung peak niya, it will happen on October 3, but we may feel the effects of it already on October 2. So eclipses are very massive energies. Actually, I already have a video about this solar eclipse in my channel. If you haven't seen that yet, just go to my channel and then I have a video for the solar eclipse in Libra. So solar eclipses are massive new beginnings to the point that we may actually have felt it probably 3 months before, and then we may continue feeling it for 6 months right after. I'm not gonna go over in deep details about this in this video because again, I already have another video for it. But with this eclipse, we're going to expect a lot of new beginnings related to partnerships, collaborations, and also our place in society as individual. This solar eclipse as well is very, very close to our south node currently. So there's something that we need to let go, or there's an energy that will sort of be decreasing for us to start something new for the next 6 months. Mercury is also combust with the sun, meaning it's closely following the sun, so it's a little bit blinded. So there may also be some renegotiations or unclear blockages related to communications and agreements. So that's also going to be a topic that will be apparent for this eclipse. So kaka-start pa lang ng month, there's already this massive new beginning with solar eclipse. So this is already a sneak peek on what October is going to be. Now, after that, we do have on October 6 to 7 Philippine time. By the way, since I'm based in the Philippines, all of my timings here in this video will be based on Philippine time. So if you're not in the Philippines or if you are a Filipino living abroad, just adjust the time. I'm so sorry kasi ito pa rin yung sinusunod ko. But yeah, on October 6 to 7, Mercury in the sign of Libra will square Mars in the sign of Cancer. So let's discuss first what Mercury and Mars is. So Mercury is the planet of communication, mentality, and also verbal agreements and also like written agreements. Meanwhile, Mars is the planet of action, conflict, and also aggression. So Mercury is in the sign of Libra. Again, Libra is all about partnerships, collaborations with people. And then Mars is in the sign of Cancer, and Cancer is all about nurturing our home and maternal energies. So there may be some sort of a combative energy or aggressive energy that will come from our way of communicating or depending on our agreements that will sort of happen in very private places because again, Mars is in the sign of Cancer. Depending on where Libra and also Cancer is in your chart, there's going to be some sort of private discussion or private renegotiation that may happen in a very passive-aggressive way. It's not really that intense of a transit, but it may sort of have an effect or parang it will play a part for the eclipse because again, it's happening sort of in the same week. So just be careful in what you're going to be saying. Just be careful overall on certain agreements as well that you will be signing, or just overall think before you speak. Sorry, I just fixed my hair because it's so hot. Muulan, pero it's so hot. But anyway, so on October 9, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, growth, optimism, and also wisdom, will be stationing retrograde in the sign of Gemini. In case you didn't know, Jupiter entered Gemini last May 26, 2024, and then it's gonna stay there up until June of next year. But it's going to be stationing retrograde starting on October 9. I forgot when it's going to be stationing direct. I'm just gonna put it here. But yeah, retrogrades are a time for us to think about or re-strategize or reanalyze about something. In case you're not familiar yet how retrograde works, so here in our planet, it does seem like that certain planet, which is Jupiter, is moving in an opposite direction where it's used to go, or mukha siyang tumigil, kumbaga. That's why, in astrological terms, retrogrades allow us to rethink, to reanalyze, to slow down and re-strategize certain things related to that planet. And as I mentioned, Jupiter is expansion, growth, optimism, and also wisdom. It's not generally a bad thing, but it will allow us to rethink and also reanalyze certain expansive or expansion happening in our lives. To those who have very important placements in Gemini around 21, 20, and 19 degrees, or actually any mutable signs, this may be more apparent and more intense for you guys compared to other people who don't have placements there. So again, because this retrograde will be starting at the 21st degree in the sign of Gemini, if you have any placements in any mutable signs in 19, 20, and 21 degrees, medyo mas may epekto sa inyo. Now, most of the time, this for us can be like slowing down and us rethinking our commitments. If you guys took on a responsibility starting May of this year, tapos feeling nyo there's just too much happening or you have too much on your plate, this can talk about a force for us coming wherein we need to rethink and reanalyze and re-strategize the expansion happening in our lives. It doesn't mean that the goodness of Jupiter is not in effect anymore or parang the luck of Jupiter is wala na siyang effect. It's more of, again, meron nag-expand sa buhay mo. So you need to rethink whether is it too much expansion? Or are you not taking advantage of the expansion that Jupiter is bringing in wherever Gemini is in your chart? In mundane astrology, you can expect a lot of renegotiations in documents and agreements because Gemini represent those things. So this can talk about documents or agreements or collaborations that are relating to expanding something in certain nations. Actually, this is very much activated in the chart of US, of United States. So I'm a little bit worried or parang I'm gonna watch out personally on what can potentially happen around this time because the last time that Jupiter went retrograde in that exact degree in the chart of US, it's not really that great. So hopefully it's just more of rethinking of negotiations and agreements overall. And then on October 11, Pluto is going to finally station direct in the sign of Capricorn. Actually, halos lahat ng outer planets natin will be in retrograde except for Pluto. So from October 9, October 10, lahat ng outer planets natin will be in retrograde, which is Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And then on October 11, Pluto will be stationing direct in Capricorn. So this is the last opportunity for us to finally transform things related to Capricorn matters in mundane astrology. So this can talk about final transformations, final renewals, death, and rebirth that may happen around conglomerates or like large corporations or even people in power or in influence. So there's going to be a culmination or like again finalizing of transformation in those matters. However, in our personal lives, look at where Capricorn is sitting in your chart. If wala naman kayong placements in Capricorn in the late degree around 28, 29, hindi naman to ganun ka-intense for you guys. However, if you have that placement in Capricorn, there's going to be like final transformations, final renewals that will happen before Pluto eventually moves for good in the sign of Aquarius after that. And then on October 13, Mercury in Libra will square Pluto in Capricorn right after it stations direct. So again, Mercury is communication, mentality, and verbal and written agreements. Meanwhile, Pluto is power, it's death and rebirth and also transformation. So whenever there is a square between two planets, square is an aspect that often shows some sort of conflict or like friction between these two planets. So there may be some exchanges or communicative exchanges or even like verbal agreements or written agreements that may be a little bit manipulative. So in our our everyday lives, medyo ganun yung mangyayari sa atin. So watch out what you will be saying, or maybe there are people in power who will be exposed as well in certain agreements that they signed, or like certain collaborations that they have. There's also a possibility that there will be certain documents or information that will be put out on the news, and again, mundane astrology, wherein it will be a little bit shocking for us, but in a way, we sort of expected it already. And this is like the final transformation and final revelation as well, before it finally moves to Aquarius, which is again, I'm talking about Pluto. So the middle of October may be a little bit chaotic in terms of communication and also like written agreements. So just be careful with your words or anything that you will be writing to. On October 17, we're going to have a full moon in the sign of Aries. Here in the Philippines, yung peak ng full moon nito will be 7:26 p.m. So that is a good time to put out your crystals, to cleanse your crystals and charge them as well. Kasi tapos naman yung eclipse season right after this one. But if kaya nyo hintayin yung next round ng full moons and new moons na lang, it will be a little bit better kasi medyo may overflowing energy pa of the eclipse right after this one. But again, we will have a full moon in Aries in October 17. This full moon in Aries is very Martian. Aside from the fact that it's happening in Aries, and Aries is naturally ruled by Mars, the planet of action, aggression, and conflicts, it will also be squaring Mars. I'm going to show here the chart of that day just for you guys to see it. So there will be a lot of activations happening around Martian matters, will be again sometimes related to conflict, war, or maybe even violence. But at the same time, there is also positivity about Mars wherein we're fighting for ourselves and fighting for other people. Now, particularly Aries and Cancer, where Mars currently is, are going to be like the two signs that will have a lot of activations as well with this full moon. So Cancer, if we're going to talk about places, it's all about enclosed, private, and nurturing places as well. So this can talk about home, or like certain places that are a little bit like protected or a little bit private compared to other places as well. So there may be some sort of like aggression or conflict or violence that may happen around those areas. And at the same time, Mars and Aries combination as well can be like a savior complex energy. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, pero think of it that there may be some people who will try to save certain people, or like insert themselves in certain scenarios to appear as if they are the savior, as if they're the ones who's going to be like saving the world or saving the day. In some good sense, it can be good because we will see people rising up because of this full moon, wherein you're going to see their heroism or their glory in a sense. But in some ways, this can also talk about for us personally in our lives, a little bit of like stepping up too much wherein it's not needed. This full moon too, Mars will be squaring Neptune, and Neptune represents religion, spirituality, overconsumption, and also entertainment. So there may also be conflicts and also like friction happening around those matters too. So full moons technically are culminations or ending, closing of a chapter. So there may be a closing of a chapter related to like violence that has been happening around spiritual or religious matters. So expect that probably a week or 2 days before and 2 days right after, or a week after this full moon, there may be some conflicts or violence in the news related to spiritual groups or spiritual figures, or even again religious groups as well. And also even matters related to overconsumption and entertainment, like magkakaroon tayo ng culmination or ending of a story related to that, which is already something that's happening all over the world with issues like PDD. And here in the Philippines, we do have also some certain spiritual issues related to spiritual leaders, kumbaga. So it can be like a day for us to finalize these things, or like have some sort of culmination related to those issues and matters. And then the next day, October 18, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, aesthetic, values, harmony, will be entering the sign of Sagittarius. Pero bago niya gawin yon, medyo hihirit muna siya on Scorpio, because before it happens, there's going to be a lot of activation in Venus in Scorpio. So I'm just gonna look at my cheat sheet here. So before it enters a Sagittarius, Venus in Scorpio first will oppose Uranus. So oppositions are like back and forth or transferring and balancing of energies. And Uranus is the planet of disruptions, chaos, and sudden events. So there may be like sudden events happening or sudden things happening around our relationships and partnerships. And then followed by that, Venus will trine Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So there may be some like again overconsumption or like us wearing rose-colored glasses that may also appear. Like that's the energy for the day. And then right after that, lastly, it will sextile Pluto. Again, Pluto is renewal, transformation. So there will be like a last hurrah in our relationships that will be a little bit more private or intense before it finally enters on Sagittarius on October 18. So what is Venus in Sagittarius? Sagittarius is very expansive, it's explorative, it's adventurous. So there is a lot of focus on that in love, relationship, and also in art and values. So in our personal relationships, may possibility na we will take more risk or parang we're a little bit more adventurous and explorative in our partnerships and relationships. At the same time, to those who are working in the creative industry, this is like the best time to just really take risks as well in your creative endeavors and experiment a lot. But overall, in our values, there will be like prompting of like essence and principles, finding the truth, because in reality, Sagittarius is all about morality. At the end of the day, it's naturally ruled by Jupiter, the king of the gods. So there is this essence, kumbaga, that our relationship, our love is a little bit more moral, or parang we're finding the truth out of our relationships as well, and whether it aligns with our values or not. So coming from a very intense and very protective energy of a Scorpio, Venus will then move towards understanding whether what we did was right, or where are we moving forward with our relationships in the right way. And then on October 22, a Mercury in Scorpio will be trining Saturn in retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So there's a possibility of like going deeper into the realities, because Scorpio again is very intense, it's very deep, and this will be about our discipline or restrictions personally. So around this time, there may be some exchanges or probably realizations, for example, that some of the things that we are working on, let's just say, are not really working for us and we need to do something about it. Or may possibility as well that personally in our lives, there will be like deeper sense of communications for us to figure out kung meron bang restriction or barrier na kailangan nating i-apply in our lives, depending on where Scorpio and also a Pisces is located in your chart. And then on October 23, our Scorpio season is finally going to start, because the sun will enter the water sign Scorpio. So coming from like the very vibrant, peaceful, social energy of Libra, we're now going to move into the intense, deep energies of Scorpio. Around this time, in the other side of the world, the nights are a little bit longer, days are shorter. So it's also like the same energy na makukuha natin. So it seems like there's more time for us to think about something instead of doing something too. So the sun, whenever it's in the sign of Scorpio, it's very defensive, it's very protective, it's deep, it's intense. So our vitality, our ego will also transform and sort of have that collective energy as well. And at the same time, Scorpio is a water sign, and water signs are all about emotions and our connections to other people. So may possibility then that that's where our focus is going to be, particularly related to our relationship to other people and how much we are giving or how much we are taking, in a sense, for us to really move forward with these relationships and how we communicate and show our emotions as well. And happy solar return! Advance happy birthday to all Scorpio babies. Alam kong maraming Scorpios dyan, so advance happy birthday sa inyo. Followed by our Scorpio season on October 26, Mars is still in Cancer, is going to be trining Neptune in retrograde in Pisces. So this is a little bit of like a double-edged sword, because Mars is action, aggression, and conflict. And then Neptune is illusions, delusions, dreams, overconsumption, spirituality. So in some good sense, this can be like really good for spiritual people, because like there's action in your spiritual endeavors, in your spiritual matters. But at the same time, there's also a possibility of like needing to solve something through action that is related to spiritual matters all around the world, or parang in mundane astrology. Because trine is a very harmonious aspect. However, if there is a trine between difficult placements, like again, we do have Mars as our malefic planet. So may possibility na yes, it's still good, but we need to put a lot more effort for it to be a little bit positive compared to its usual characteristic. In some good ways, this is a little bit of like a really great practicality on action as well. So maybe you can take advantage of that. Again, this really depends on where Cancer and also Pisces is related or connected or in place in your chart. And then lastly, how this month will end is that we will have Mercury in Scorpio opposing Uranus in a retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Yeah, we may end it a little bit dramatic because there's a possibility of like unexpected exchanges, deeper, unexpected, chaotic changes and exchanges as well. So medyo hindi lang maganda yung magiging communication natin. So as you can see, it will start with like a really heavy focus on communication, agreements, documents. Tapos ganun din matatapos yung month natin. And oppositions always talks about balancing or going back and forth in certain energies. So there's a possibility that there will be agreements that will be shown around the world or maybe even in our personal lives that we will go back and forth, and it will catch us off guard. And then in return, may possibility that we have to think it through a little bit more deeper compared to how we usually do it. So the way that you started your month we're in, I advise you guys to be a little bit more careful or think before you speak. In reality, lagi ninyong kailangan gawin, alright, it's still going to be apparent pa din pagdating natin ng ending ng October. But yeah, that's it for this month's overall astrology. If you guys have any questions about the astrological events of the month, let me know. Or if you guys have anything that you think will happen around October, or if meron kayong plano around October and you want to check if the astrology is good around that time, just comment down below and I'll help you guys figuring it out. That's it. Thank you guys and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!